Look to our precious Jesus today, who saves, heals, delivers, prospers, and blesses. This is your day for a miracle.
Dr. Joel Wallach has made a tremendous impact on viewers during his multiple interviews with Pastor Benny Hinn on recent programs. Today, he returns for an informative discussion on what is causing the sharp increase in cancer which is occurring in men, women, and children, with an emphasis on reversal and prevention. And later in the program, you'll hear about Dr. Wallach's brand new DVD featuring his classic lecture on health secrets, complete with comprehensive visual support through charts, graphics, and images. So stay tuned.
Dr. Wallach is back. I'm glad he is. You sweet people, you have called and asked for him. They've been calling, wanting your materials. And I said, well, let's invite the doctor back. So I'm glad you're back, Doc.
Thank you, Pastor.
I want to talk today about some things that are really troubling me.
Okay.
A lot of dear people I know have died with cancer in the last 12 months. Some close friends, and it's really shocking me on why so many people are dying with cancer. I was watching one of the news reports recently where they said that cancer now is the #1 killer in America, and millions will die with cancer worldwide. It was like 45 million or something people in the next few years. I was stunned that this is happening, and you think they solved the problem. You think they have new discoveries. Yet more people are dying now than they did a few years ago. Why?
Well, this death rate from cancer, Pastor Benny, is driven by a nutritional misadvice. It's driven. That's why it's getting worse. It's because people are following the instructions of the wrong people. Instead of doing the God thing, they've listened to the doctors. The doctors are giving misinformation, many unknowingly, many knowingly. And for instance, if people cook their food by steam and roasting and baking instead of frying, you had 20 years of your life, you reduce your risk of cancer by 462%. If you cook your meat medium rare instead of well done, you reduce your risk of breast cancer by 462%. Now, that was a big study that came out in 1998 by Clemson University.
Now, you know what? I want to talk to you about this and much more, because we were just talking before we began doing the program on what's going on with medicine and, the side effects of medicine. And I was just watching a program last night about some new pill. And by the way, we're going to get back to talk about the cancer, because we really want to help you stay healthy, okay? We don't want anyone getting cancer. I mean, that's
it's possible.
Huh?
It's possible we can do that.
How?
Well, they have to cook properly, they have to eat properly, they have to supplement properly, avoid all the bad things.
Okay, now, just before we get to cancer, because I do want to talk about this. Medication. I was watching this thing last night, and they said, well, if you take this pill, here's all the side effects. And they went on for 30 seconds talking about the side effects. I'm thinking, dear goodness, the side effects are worse than the problem. Why even bother with that? So why are people going for it? All these medications that are killing people, really. And hurting people.
Well, Pastor Benny, there's two things. You've asked several questions. There are two things that are important to answer your question. Number one, there's no law requiring a doctor to cure you if there's a cure available. That needs to sink in. There's no law requiring a doctor to cure you when there's a cure available. In that piece, antibiotics will kill things like bacterial meningitis, strep throat, pneumonia in older people. But with the exception of antibiotics, of all the prescription, all the thousands, 250,000 prescription drugs in the PDR, the physician's desk reference, other than antibiotics, there's not a single other drug that cures anything. All the other drugs in the physician's desk reference only treat the symptoms.
They don't cure.
They don't cure, because the money is in long-term treatment as opposed to cure.
Okay, now, but there are some people who need medication for whatever. You agree or disagree with that?
Well, I would disagree with that, sir.
Why?
Well, let's say congestive heart failure, the most common cause of heart death in America. It's a simple vitamin deficiency. We've known it since the late 1700s. Now, I've gotten pastors off of their medication. They were on the heart transplant list We put them on our supplement program with all 90 essential nutrients, give them the secret sauce that has that one vitamin in mega amounts. In 5 days' time, their doctors, their cardiologists took them off of 27 prescription drugs, took them off the heart transplant list, and deemed them cured.
Now, you've been doing this how long?
Oh, I've been doing this, Pastor Benny, for 36 years.
And you've helped a lot of people.
Millions, sir.
Millions, really?
Yes, sir, truly.
And you've talked, of course, we had mentioned Creflo Dollar's daughter that you helped, and the gentleman, the mayor of Atlanta with his knees.
Oh, Andy Young.
Andrew Young
yes,
and
yes,
all
sir.
that, and others like them. But now, let's talk. Do you want to say any more about these meds, or can we go on to cancer?
Well, I can go on, for instance, 99% of the time, unless you've been run over by a tank and your joints are pulverized into dust, nobody needs a joint replacement. For instance, one single hip replacement costs $78,000. I can give you the raw materials through our 90 essential nutrients and the secret sauce for rebuilding cartilage to support and promote maintenance repair of cartilage, ligaments, tendons, connective tissue. In 90 days, I can replace your cartilage. Even though doctors say it's impossible, they want to do the $78,000 joint replacement. Now, you have 72 joints. Let's say for a moment that they were correct. Theoretically, the doctors are correct. To replace your hip, what does that do for the other 71 joints? Not, as you say, nothing. Whereas if they take the nutritional program that's going to rebuild the cartilage in one hip, it rebuilds the cartilage in all the other 71 joints in the body at the same time. We're talking, for a 200-pound person, we're looking at maybe $10 a day. So we're looking at $300 per month, and for 3 months is $900 as opposed to $78,000.
Now, you know, a lot of doctors don't agree with you, right?
Well, of course, orthopedic surgeons don't.
And they dislike you, by the way. I was talking to one. They don't like you at all, Doc. Why?
Well,
and you're such a nice man.
Well,
why don't they like you?
Well, I'm certainly not in the class of Jesus. I'm one of his followers, right? Okay. But the Pharisees didn't like the Son of God, okay, because he was telling the truth. And of course, this is the tenet, this is the premise of my book, Only Dead Doctors Don't Lie, because they're in the process, they want to treat you for 70 years if they can. If they can keep you alive for 70 years, they'd love that. They would treat you, have you come in every year for an exam and do surgery and treat you, as opposed to curing you. For instance, rheumatoid arthritis is curable in 2 weeks.
You said that before.
Yes.
How?
Okay, well, you have to appreciate that rheumatoid arthritis is not an autoimmune disease. It's not genetic. It is, in fact, an infection with a bug called mycoplasma. You can kill that mycoplasma with an antibiotic that's in the family of tetracyclines, minocycline. You'll kill it in 2 weeks, just like you can kill syphilis with penicillin in 2 weeks.
Why don't they tell you that? Why do not the doctors tell you what I'm hearing you say it can be cured in 2 weeks, arthritis?
Because they'll only make $300. Now, if they treat you...
But some of them, there are some very wonderful Christian doctors too out there who will not say what you just said. They'll say, well, here's your problem and here's medication for it, and then you have to believe God for whatever else, okay? But you're telling me, and you're telling all of us, you can cure this arthritis in 2 weeks.
I can kill that bug that causes rheumatoid arthritis in 2 weeks. Then it might take 60 days to rebuild all the damage the bugs did with the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack, which is the raw materials to, and I can legally say, support and promote maintenance repair.
Forgive me for saying this. Why can you fix it and others cannot?
Oh, everybody can fix it. Grandmas fix it. I get people who are high school graduates fix it. We've built an army of people to do this, because you and I...
You show them how to do it.
Yeah, I show them how to do it. It's a cookie cutter operation. We put it into such simple little packages that if you can make a angel food cake recipe from a Betty Crocker cookbook, you can get rid of rheumatoid arthritis. You can get rid of congestive heart failure. You can get rid of macular degeneration.
You cannot believe how many people have called for your book. Like we've never had this before. They're still calling.
Yes.
Because I think people see something in you they believe in. But now, let's talk about cancer. Because I'm troubled by the fact that a few days ago, a friend of mine passed away, a pastor, young pastor, a lady that I knew here in Cali, young, passed away.
Yeah.
A wonderful friend of mine that is now struggling with it, another pastor, preacher. And it's becoming very troublesome to hear about cancer killing all these people. And now these reports that just came out on Google News and CNN that clearly say that cancer now is the #1 killer, and millions more will die in the next few years.
It's 7 million a year, 10 years, that's 70 million people.
7 million a year,
yeah.
where? In the U.S.?
No, it's worldwide. In the U.S., it's 1.7 million.
7 million people a year will be dying with cancer.
Yes, so over 10 years, that's 70 million. And it's all totally avoidable.
Okay, you say it's avoidable.
Yes, sir, totally.
Let's talk first about what's causing it.
Well, there's
the
two
air,
things.
the pollution, the water, what is it?
No, it's not pollution, it's not the air. Water may...
Food, what is it?
Okay, well, it's food, but it's how we cook our food. It's what food choices we have. For instance, our parents used cream and butter to cook with when we were children.
Right.
Well, today, our children, for their children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, use margarine and oils. Now, nowhere in the Bible does it say cook and eat oils. It says use oils for anointing and for lamps, for light. It never says to use it for cooking and eating.
Including olive oil?
That's right. It never says cooking and eating. I looked. I'm into hotels every night, so I look in the Bible, and it's not in there. Nobody's supposed to eat oils. And so when doctors say, oh, you can't have that saturated fat, butter and cream causes your arteries to plug, that's not true. And so they've driven people to eat the wrong things.
It's not true. Like using butter and creams, you say, is okay.
Yes, yes. You know, I want you to think of the Eskimos, Pastor Benny. Eskimos, 98% of their traditional diet is whale meat and blubber, walrus meat and blubber, seal meat and blubber, bear meat and bear fat. They don't eat salads and whole grains and things like olive oil. They eat nothing but saturated fat and red meat. Their cholesterols range from 350 to 500 normally for them. They have the lowest cardiovascular disease rate of any culture on earth. They come down here and eat like us. A very low cancer rate. Very low cancer rate compared to anybody else.
So what's killing us here? Why so much cancer?
Listening to doctors.
Listening to doctors.
Yes, sir. And here's why. Because they tell us to use oil and margarine instead of cream and butter. Don't use saturated fats. Get your cholesterol down below 200. And as a result, they've created dozens of new diseases by telling us to do things that traditionally, from the times of Jesus, we didn't do those things. Okay? And I guarantee you that Mary and Jesus, they didn't cook everything in olive oil. They cooked everything in butter and cream and water.
Now, you told me earlier before the program that frozen food is bad, or frozen something. What was it you said?
Oh, frozen dessert.
Frozen dessert?
Yes.
Why?
Well, see, milkshakes are good because they're made out of milk. But we have a shake is usually made out of frozen dessert, which is made out of oil, which oxidizes. And this is what causes cancer, is oxidized oils, oxidized trans fats, heterocyclic amines, and acrylamides, superheated carbohydrates like French fries. Okay, it's terrible what people do to themselves. Again, you can reduce the risk of breast cancer by 462% just by cooking your meat medium rare instead of well done.
Well, you said that before, and that's kind of hard to believe.
That's Clemson University, big study.
Medium rare is much better than
well done. Yes, sir. Absolutely. And then supplementation with things that were found in the Garden of Eden, which are not found here. You have to carry the Garden of Eden with you. The whole world, 7 billion people, can't go into the Garden of Eden. It was a small place.
What do you mean you mean like supplements then, right?
Yes, sir. We have to supplement. And I have another book out called Immortality. It took 10 years to write that book. And what my wife and I did was we looked at the top 20 longevity cultures on Earth. Each one of these cultures lives in a Garden of Eden all around the world. There's all this natural minerals in the soil. They don't have doctors, they don't have insurance, government or private, they don't have hospitals or clinics, and yet they have 40 times 100-year-olds we do. They have 100-year-old per 250 of their populations, we have 100-year-old per 10,000. 40 times 100-year-olds we do, and you and I were talking again before the show, you've been to many third world countries.
I was just in Africa, and they don't have the death, cancer deaths in some parts of Africa even, and there's poverty in those places.
Poverty, yes, but poverty in of itself is not a bad thing, because then you can't afford doctors and then you live longer. If you have a lot of money, doctors come there.
Okay, now Doc, so one more time.
Yes, sir.
What causes cancer? Why are so many people dying so quick and young, many of them young?
Okay, well, the short version is they listen to doctors. They've taken bad advice and implemented it. The advice is stay away from oil, no, and people say, even olive oil? Yeah, no olive oil. What about the Mediterranean diet? Well,
I was going to ask you that.
Well, the Italians and the Greeks are not the only people in the Mediterranean. Let's look at the longest lived people in the Mediterranean. They're not the Greeks and the Italians. The Greeks and the Italians live to be an average of 62, much less than we do. They live 13 years shorter than we do, okay, the Greeks and the Italians, because they live on wheat, they live on olive oil, all the bad stuff. Well, when you look at...
I've never, you're the first man to come along to say olive oil is bad, if it's cooked, right?
No, even raw olive oil oxidizes.
Doc, come on, really. I mean, I've been taking olive oil since I was a kid.
Okay, Pastor Benny.
Okay.
I'm gonna get
Convince me, because I'm not convinced on that one.
Okay.
I put olive oil with my hummus and baba ganoush, and I even take a spoon of it,
Yeah. Okay.
to keep my heart healthy. Now you're telling me it's not good for me.
That's not good for you. Have you ever seen anybody or yourself even cut an apple and you leave it out for 10, 15 minutes? What happens to that white flesh of that apple?
Yeah, of course. It goes a little...
Brown. Turns brown. Well, that's the oil in the apple oxidizing. Now, most people don't think of apples having oil in them, but they do. You mash up an apple and you put an ice cream scoop of mashed up apple into a glass of water, and there'll be oil float to the top. Well, it's that oil in the apple oxidizing just moments at room temperature. You're
really messing me up right now with this oil, with the olive oil, because I love olive oil.
Well, God loves you. I'm trying to save you.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. And so when you look at the longest lived culture in the Mediterranean, it's not the Greeks and the Italians who eat all this olive oil and wheat. It's the Sardinians. Why don't people talk about the Sardinians? Their average lifespan is 90.
In Sardinia?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, the Sardinians in Sardinia live to be 90. The Greeks and the Italians live to be 62.
So what are they doing?
Okay, well,
in Sardinia?
They don't have groves of olive trees. They don't grow wheat. They are herdsmen for sheep and goats. They live on sheep and goat milk and cheese and sheep and goat meat. They have red wine, which is a great antioxidant, protects you from free radical damage in case some sneaks through. They live on sweet potatoes and onions. They don't live on wheat. They don't live on olive oil. And they live 50% longer. They live to be 90 on the average. That's their average is 90. In this book, Immortality, they're one of the cultures I feature, the Sardinians, which most people don't pay attention to.
Doc, I'm 61 years old.
Yes, sir.
And I'm healthy, and I've been eating olive oil with my food for a long time. So are you telling me to stop now?
Yes, sir. I'm asking you. I'm not going to tell you anything. I don't have the power to do that, but I will ask you because I love you, Pastor Benny, because God loves you.
And then what? I mean, what do I replace it with? Like my hummus would not taste good without olive oil.
Well, what about butter?
With hummus?
Yeah, why not?
I don't know. Well, anyways, let's keep going.
I like it.
I just want to know how to prevent cancer.
Okay, then you have to supplement. You have to carry the Garden of Eden around with you. Now, God is the smartest farmer. He's the smartest physician. Why did he pick, of all the places in the world, why did God pick the Garden of Eden to put Adam in? That was always my question. And with the military, I walked through the Garden of Eden. We know exactly where the Garden of Eden is. I walked through the Garden of Eden.
Oh, you mean was?
No, it's still there. The Old Testament, it has the first map quest ever. It tells you exactly where the Garden of Eden is. It's east of Eden. And there's 4 rivers which still exist, dump into it. The Euphrates, the Tigris, the Pishon,
But
and the
it's
Kishon
all
rivers.
desert over there right now.
Except where those 4 rivers dump into. It's the greenest place, it's the healthiest, it's the most nutritional place on earth right there.
By Arabia, I suppose.
No.
Somewhere there.
No, Baghdad sits right on it.
Really?
Yeah. That's where those 4 rivers go. That's right, that's the Garden of Eden.
You've been there?
I've been there through the military, yes, sir.
And what's so special about that place right now?
Because those 4 rivers still are there. They still flood every year. And when the rivers flood, do they flood distilled water? No, they flood silt from the mountains. And what is silt? It's the minerals that come down from those mountains and replenish that soil every year. Now, what have we done to our great rivers? We dammed them up so it doesn't flood anymore. It doesn't renew the soil. So what happens is every year when we harvest a crop out of the soil, the crops are pulling minerals out of the soil, so the mineral load is going down because we're not allowing to flood every year. Secondly, and we've said this before, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Monday, September 4th, 1882, everything changed. For thousands and thousands and thousands of years, our source of nutritional minerals came from the wood ashes we took from our fireplaces, our wood stoves, we put them in the garden as fertilizer. Okay? Now these wood ashes are not ashes. They're actually the minerals that the tree sucked up out of the ground. You burn the wood for fuel for whatever reason.
I remember you saying that, yeah.
And then we put these plant minerals, aka wood ashes, in the garden, and we put it in there every day. And we replenished the soil with those minerals, and everything that grew there had the minerals in them. Now, we didn't take mineral supplements in a capsule 1,000 years ago, but we took the mineral supplements by feeding the sweet potatoes and the corn and the...
But now we're doing it all different.
Well, now we have electricity. And how many plant minerals, how many wood ashes are left over from electricity? Zero. None. Zero.
Well, in some parts of the world I'm talking about.
Well, in all these, remember, you said it yourself just now, all the places that have the fewest amounts of cancer are these third world cultures. They don't have electricity. They still have wood stoves. They're still putting their wood ashes in the gardens.
I was in Africa just a few days ago, and I saw people sitting outside by the thousands with their fires lit. Nobody had electricity. And these people just sat there. You see just thousands of them everywhere. And I did ask, how many are dying with cancer, and they kind of looked at me like, oh, not many. And yet there's poverty everywhere. And yet here, with all the wealth and all the money, people are dying with cancer. It makes no sense.
Well, money, unfortunately, is the bait for doctors to come in. Okay? The medical system has used Americans as the ATM machine, and here's why. Insurance. Let's say you're working out in the garden today, and your back hurts. You just got some muscles, you've kind of overdone a little bit, and really what you need is $5 worth of some horse liniment, and maybe some extra calcium, a good night's rest, a hot shower. The next day you're going to be fine. Cost you $5. But instead you go into the doctor, I got to see you, doc, my back's killing me. I worked in the garden, my back's killing me. Well, he's going to run MRIs and CAT scans, so you've got now $4,000 worth of lab tests. Okay? Now he's going to say, while we're in there looking, I found you had some cysts on your kidney. You got polycystic kidney disease. We got to put you on the kidney transplant list. Now, you were born with those kidney cysts because those are a birth defect. You're 50-something years old. That didn't never bother you. They're not going to bother you. But he shows you, it's very dramatic to see all those cysts all over your kidneys. My God, we got to put you on the kidney transplant list. So now he's going to make $250,000 transplanting your kidneys.
But if you do have that, how would you fix it?
You don't need to fix it.
If they came to you?
You don't need to fix it. Oh, I just give them some of our CM cream on the back. That's going to relieve the pain immediately. By the next morning, tell them to take a hot bath or a hot shower.
But how about all the cysts if you find them?
He can live to be 150 with those cysts. No
Pardon?
problem. He'll live to be 150 with those cysts. They were there when he was born. Those cysts have nothing to do with his backache or heart disease or cancer.
We're going to talk about, we're almost out of time. Tomorrow I want to talk about what's going on in America, because you said people are hurting, they are having to pay more money for insurance, on and on and on. They're looking for other options.
Yes, sir.
People are losing their jobs because of it.
Because of the health care cost.
Yeah. So sad, really.
It's criminal, Pastor Benny.
Well, look, we just want to help people to stay healthy, okay? And if they have a problem, show them how to fix it if possible, okay?
That's the recipe book right there.
And you have a brand new DVD. Tomorrow you've got to tell me on what to do if somebody has cancer. What do they do? How do they turn it around?
Okay, we can do that.
And diabetes and heart disease and all this stuff.
We can do that, sir. Yes, sir.
You promise, huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This one is a new thing you have. Dead Doctors Don't Lie. And this is your what?
Okay, this is a DVD. This is my lecture on Dead Doctors Don't Lie.
So if people cannot read this book, they can watch this, or is it different, or what?
They can watch. Well, obviously you can't get all the tables and charts and so forth, and the diseases that are listed in the book Dead Doctors Don't Lie by alphabetical order, and you go there in the appendices and you look up the disease, tells you what to do. This one, it's not in tracks or anything, so you have to kind of watch the whole thing and stop it and read it.
So in this book, you have all the diseases, and it shows you what to do if you have them.
420 diseases, yes, sir.
There's 420 diseases in this book, and if you have one of them, what to do about it.
Or 10 of them. Most people have 4, 5, 8, 10 diseases at the same time.
And in this CD is what?
Okay, the CD is the original Dead Doctors Don't Lie lecture from 1993.
And millions have heard this.
200 million sold, and so more than 200 million, maybe 1 billion have watched it.
Okay, listen, you can have these two for $40, and this DVD of lectures by you.
Plus the slides.
Plus the slides for an additional $25. You can have all for $65. So, wow, I mean, you can save your life with this.
Absolutely. That's the most economical
Think
way
about
to save your life.
$65 save your life.
Yes, sir.
Well, Doc, tomorrow we're going to talk about a whole lot more, and you're going to promise you're going to talk about how to reverse cancer
Yes, sir.
if somebody has it.
Yes, sir.
And heart disease too, and maybe other things.
Okay.
Okay?
Dr. Joel Wallach's groundbreaking studies over decades of research have revealed numerous facts and truths about your health, which are radically different from what you've been led to believe by the medical community. These findings have been distributed worldwide through the material on this phenomenal CD, Dead Doctors Don't Lie, with more than 200 million copies in circulation. Recorded during Dr. Wallach's lectures, this CD touches on a wide range of subjects, including aging, heart disease, cholesterol, arthritis, cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's, and pregnancy. In all, Dr. Wallach addresses 25 topics and engages in question and answer sessions with the audience. And his book is a comprehensive expansion of the material on the CD, with over 400 pages of information which can significantly impact your quality and length of life. You'll learn how to identify 90 essential nutrients, many of which are not available in food, prevent and reverse 412 diseases with vitamins, minerals, and herbs, reach your genetic potential for a long and happy life, eliminate a major portion of costly medical expenses, take responsibility for your health, and much, much more. Dr. Wallach's Dead Doctors Don't Lie 400-page book and multi-million selling CD can be yours today for a gift of $40. And Dr. Wallach has just released his brand new DVD featuring his classic lecture on health secrets, complete with comprehensive visual support through charts, graphics, and images. The information in this 2-hour lecture is vital to your understanding of what causes disease, with an emphasis on reversal and prevention. Dr. Wallach's DVD is available exclusively through this special television offer for a gift of $25, or as part of this complete health package for $65. It's not too early or too late to gain the knowledge and tools you must have to rescue and revolutionize your health and that of your family and loved ones. Call or order online today.
On next week's programs, Pastor Benny Hinn will share the exciting results of his fact-finding trip to the Holy Land, which occurred just a few days ago. You'll hear his first-person account of what is really happening in this region and why this is the time to stand with Israel by visiting the nation during his life-changing tour scheduled for November 12th through the 21st. Don't miss these inspiring programs next week on This Is Your Day.
Look to our precious Jesus today, who saves, heals, delivers, prospers, and blesses. This is your day for a miracle.
Dr. Joel Wallach has made a tremendous impact on viewers during his multiple interviews with Pastor Benny Hinn on recent programs. Today, he returns for an informative discussion on what is causing the sharp increase in cancer, which is occurring in men, women, and children, with an emphasis on reversal and prevention. And later in the program, you'll hear about Dr. Wallach's brand new DVD, featuring his classic lecture on health secrets, complete with comprehensive visual support through charts, graphics, and images. So stay tuned.
Dr. Wallach is back. I'm glad he is. You sweet people, you have called and asked for him. They've been calling, wanting your materials. And I said, well, let's invite the doctor back. So I'm glad you're back, Doc.
Thank you, Pastor.
I want to talk today about some things that are really troubling me.
Okay.
A lot of dear people I know have died with cancer in the last 12 months. Some close friends, and it's really shocking me on why so many people are dying with cancer. I was watching one of the news reports recently where they said that cancer now is the #1 killer in America, and millions will die with cancer worldwide. It was like 45 million or something people in the next few years. I was stunned that this is happening, and you think they solved the problem. You think they have new discoveries. Yet more people are dying now than they did a few years ago. Why?
Well, this death rate from cancer, Pastor Benny, is driven by a nutritional misadventure, misadvice. It's driven. That's why it's getting worse. It's because people are following the instructions of the wrong people. Instead of doing the God thing, they've listened to the doctors. the doctors are giving misinformation, many unknowingly, many knowingly. And for instance, if people cook their food by steam and roasting and baking instead of frying, you had 20 years of your life, you reduce your risk of cancer by 462%. If you cook your meat medium rare instead of well done, you reduce your risk of breast cancer by 462%. Now, that was a big study that came out in 1998 by Clemson University.
Now, you know what? I want to talk to you about this
Yes,
and
sir.
much more, because we were just talking before we began doing the program on what's going on with medicine and, you know, the side effects of medicine. And I was just watching a program last night about some new pill. And by the way, we're going to get back to talk about the cancer, because we really want to help you stay healthy, okay? We don't want anyone getting cancer. I mean, that's
It's
just
possible.
Huh?
It's possible we can do that.
How?
Well, they have to cook properly, they have to eat properly, they have to supplement properly, avoid all the bad things.
Okay, now, just before we get to cancer, because I do want to talk about this. Medication. I was watching this thing last night, and they said, well, if you take this pill, here's all the side effects. And they went on for 30 seconds talking about the side effects. I'm thinking, dear goodness, the side effects are worse than the problem. Why even bother with that? So why are people going for it? All these medications that are killing people, really,
Because,
and hurting people.
Pastor Benny, there's two things. You've asked several questions. There are two things that are important to answer your question. Number one, there's no law requiring a doctor to cure you if there's a cure available. That needs to sink in. There's no law requiring a doctor to cure you when there's a cure available. In that piece, antibiotics will kill things like bacterial meningitis, strep throat, pneumonia in older people. But with the exception of antibiotics, of all the prescription, all the thousands, 250,000 prescription drugs in the PDR, the physician's desk reference, other than antibiotics, there's not a single other drug that cures anything. All the other drugs in the physician's desk reference only treat the symptoms.
They don't cure.
They don't cure, because the money is in long-term treatment as opposed to cure.
Okay, now, but there are some people who need medication for whatever. You agree or disagree with that?
Well, I would disagree with that, sir.
Why?
Well, let's say congestive heart failure, the most common cause of heart death in America. It's a simple vitamin deficiency. We've known it since the late 1700s. Now, I've gotten pastors off of their medication. They were on the heart transplant